Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hey,
just trying to get everything all dollied up.
cool. I'll mute once people come on board.
Share my screen. There.
Now the question is who's going to show, right?
Yeah, well, I think for this first one, because it was so short notice, I'm okay with it just being kind of my walkthrough, right? It's the introduction, and it's kind of gonna go over kind of what is the Hive type of stuff. So there's
Yep.
not gonna be a whole lot of Q&A. So this is a good a first run at it,
Yep.
and it'll allow us to get this video out. It'll allow plus with the podcast out, we have a lot of content to go push, and I can start using this in my investor presentations.
Did you push an email to everybody for your podcast for the link?
No,
Put
I
it,
didn't.
put it in Teams or put it someplace so we can all
Yeah.
watch it.
Well, I mean, I didn't get it till like 11 o'clock last night.
Well, what's taking you so long?
I know, right? Because I wanted to find it on the podcast and Spotify.
Oh, that's cool.
But I found it on their channel, but for the YouTube, and that's the link she sent me. So we can post that, and then obviously cut it up for some good sound bites.
All right, great. Are we recording right now?
Yep. But we'll edit it.
Of course.
Are you in South Carolina yet?
Yeah, I'm actually about 38 miles west of Columbia.
Oh man, you've made some distance.
Yeah, well, we left at 5:15 this morning.
Got it.
My goal was to try to get ahead of everybody who was going to try to go out for an early weekend, right? At least the best shot that we could do on that. You never know.
Mhm.
It seems like these weekends become, people start going away yesterday.
Right. Hey, Martin.
Greetings. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks for asking.
Hey, Ella.
Hi, Joe.
Are you outside again? She's got a beach view. I would never work inside. Hello, Mr. Polk.
Hello.
All right, it's 12 o'clock. We'll give people a couple of minutes. I want to thank you guys for joining. This is the first in a weekly series of our, Hive AI platform development kind of community, getting feedback on what we've done, kind of what you guys would like to see, and really just doing more explanation on what an governing operating system is versus what an AI tool is. Just helping people build their operational maturity in their MSPs or in their business. I'll give it a couple more minutes before we start. You guys have any questions or any thoughts about what you wanted to get out of this meeting?
For myself, I'm just kind of wanting to get a good understanding of, obviously the whole AI position within MSPs have been bounced around, and everybody in the universe has got AI something, but that doesn't basically A, good, and B, functional, and kind of to your initial, marketing components. You typically have siloed type systems that are not necessarily well connected and well orchestrated. With that said, I'm also interested in things like security. That's kind of my thing. So, and how does that play into it? How is that engaged within the platform? So
So
that's long and short of it.
I'm not deep diving into the security. I will show you that it is part of the layered framework. Next week I was going to deep dive into it too, because we're working towards SOC Type 2 and compliance. And then we try to align with the CIS 18 and this CSF guidelines to really help MSPs specifically, but then stay compliance, but then also going in with the AI framework from NIST and looking at the EU standards. So we're very much built from a security forward point of view because, you know, I started out as an engineer back in the 80s. And I grew up through, you know, break fix consulting. I worked for Hughes Aircraft and Raytheon, and then started moving into small business and MSPs back in the 90s. So I understand the need for security, and that's where I started this whole platform. And everything is AI native. So, I mean, I guess we can go ahead and get it started. Martin, what did you want to get out of this, if I can ask?
You can. I don't have to answer, but I'm going to. Honestly, I've been exposed to a ton of AI tools across the board in the MSP space, and I'm genuinely governance is obviously one of the more challenging things, and how that's managed. And there's a lot of different layers of which that needs to be managed, and so you know, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how you approach that. And security is an important part, but I'm more curious about how your flows work, where your APIs are going, and things of that nature, so I can actually understand the architecture, if that makes sense. And again, I'm not expecting a deep dive today, but I'm getting a general idea of what that looks like, from an overview as far as how you deliver service and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm going to actually show you 2 points where I'll actually just deep dive a little bit more into governance as we go through this. But I do have a visual, and then you'll see the actual. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Because a lot of people implement AI, but then the way their API calls or work are not necessarily conducive with what they're professing as far as how they're governed.
Right. All right. So here. So this thing was built by people who grew up on the MSPs. I have Chris Cafera on the call. He's been doing technology, sales, and leadership for over 30 years. I've been in MSP operations role for over 25 years, been in IT for 40. And then my wife, who's also my co-founder, has been the last 2 decades in MSP support functions with handling finance or HR or compliance, those types of functions. We have 4 other people offshore that are helping with operations, with sales, with marketing, that kind of stuff. So it is built by MSP operators. MSP is our vertical right now, but the platform, as you'll see as we get into it, can go through any domain based on how it's designed. So looking at it, the Hive AI is built on codified vertical intelligence, which this means if you've heard of best in class from kind of, what is that, the IT Nation or IT Evolve standard of MSP ratings, and then there's world class based on True Peer and True Profit. I've taken all this knowledge that I've used from these people, from EOS, from C-Level, from Taylor Business. You know, I've been around the block a few times, and I like to operate at that world-class 60% labor loaded gross margin in my agreements and 20 to 25% net profit. So that playbook that I've built for operations, I've put into the Hive to make the MSP my vertical wedge, but that same concept works for any vertical. So right now we're looking at charter members. We're looking at people who are coming in as in the MVP, the pre-release stage. It is pre-release, but we're looking for people that will lock in their pricing and give them the free apps and connectors for 2 years. Also, as part of being a part of the charter member, we are a community-driven roadmap. That's what this meeting is about. We don't have Friday meetings. You don't have to attend every meeting. There will be links on our website. What do you need? What do you think? What bugs have you found? Because we want people to break it, and we want people to say, "I need this." And it goes back to 100 heads are better than one. Talking to MSPs, and again, I've been an MSP consultant since 2020. We're seeing the drift from MSP go away to more managed intelligent provider over the past 2 years as Copilot has really drove change. Claude has drove change. ChatGPT has driven change, excuse me, into businesses, and MSPs are struggling to catch up. But when they get there, they're finding they have to manage the intelligence, right? Not necessarily the service. So I'm seeing pop up of several managed intelligent providers offshoots from MSPs. Have you guys heard this or seen this?
I'm seeing it layered in a lot. I mean, I've seen pivots but more so I've seen that augmentation, the necessary requirement to be that if I can manage intelligence provider as well.
Right, because people are saying if I need AI, how can I monetize it? Right. So if I'm going to do that, I'm in a business.
Mhm.
So why did I pick MSPs? Because as we all know, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Right. We definitely have AI fragmentation where we're talking about all these different line of business add-ons. Like we'll talk about Thread, or we're talking about Roost, or we're talking about there's thousands of different add-ons, OpenRouter, OpenClaw, and Claude. Right? These just create fragmentation to your environment. And like we said, every tool does become a silo. And kind of what does that mean? When we build our businesses in silos, there's no information sharing and it becomes stateless, right? What I learn on my ticketing system does not help me on my QBR because those two AIs aren't joined. What I learned in my Fathom video recording or my Fireflies recording doesn't help me with my tickets or vice versa. And that's where sharing is caring. When they don't share governance, memory, or context, right, they can't share intelligence. And then you don't have that organizational intelligence. I didn't ask. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Oh. All right. So let's start looking at how we solve the problem. And I know this is a very busy screen, but it's a very complex problem we're solving. So we'll consider this the user level, right? This is their input output. And what we want to do is take that experience and say, I'm going to have all of your conversation intelligence wrapped into a single layer. What dashboard you need, what's app you're using, what's memory using. They're all sharing that same interface for simplification. Right now, it's a web platform. I want to turn it into just an applet on your desktop or a widget, plugins for whatever. I know it's also in Teams. So I just want a singular interface for you to go to get all of your data, whether it be make a dynamic dashboard, whether it's to pull information, whether it's to run a workflow. I'm also looking at partnering with a company to turn it into wearables. So that'd be cool. So PACO Nexus, this is really the heart of the intelligence and the security. So what PACO is policy aware context orchestrator. It says, do I have the rights to ask the question or access the information, right? Do I have the tokens to be able to complete the call correctly? Do I have the context to get the right answer? And so it looks at all these things and says, based on whether you can or can't, right? And do I need to anonymize any data? Do I need to block any data? Because we have DLP and data classification, it will then say, this is the right model that's going to give you the best answer at the cheapest price at the quickest speed. So that whole policy routing happens at that first layer. So it goes from what you've asked to, okay, can you ask it? All right, and do you have access to it? Then it's going to go to what we've built out as reasoning engines. So, I'm going to deep dive into the reasoning engines today. What reasoning engines are, they're continual AI analytics on verticals, right? So MSP operations, right? I took 25 years of MSP operations and I made it into a domain knowledge base. Finance, right? What is labor loaded gross margins? Well, now it knows. Compliance, or your IT glue, or your project. So we have reasoning engines attached to everything. So what happens is the routing happens between the reasoning engines to get routed to the data layer. I know that if I'm looking at a dashboard and I say I need to know my customer's sentiment. So it's going to then go to my CRM or my PSA and grab that information because it knows that's where it's at. So that reasoning engine then connects the data layer. The reasoning engine becomes a subject matter expert on whatever it's connected to, and then it routes it accordingly. And then at the business layer, that's just the back end where the data is stored. Does that workflow make sense? I know it's complicated, but it's going to go from what you see to how you interact to should you be able to interact to who's the smartest person to answer this question for you to here's where the data is and let me run it back and forth. So when I talk about APIs, we have platform APIs and we have user authentication. So it's by both levels, and I'll show you. Questions about that at a very high level?
So functionally, that's just, it's an MCP server. Is that
no
governance laid on top or no?
Yeah, governance is on top of every single call goes through governance, correct?
Right. And then it just picks it says, hey, this is the tool that I need, and it grabs the data you need to your point, being the expert on that particular integration, or unless misunderstanding.
Yeah, no, that's right. This is saying, okay, if I say, what's the weather, I'm going to go to Brave AI and go pull the weather.
Okay.
Right. If I want to say, help me compose an email, I'm going to go look at your M365. Correct. Questions about that? So the biggest plus here is taking that intelligent, governed, multi-model approach and connecting it intelligently to your apps and data, right? This is the governance layer. This is the layer that adds intelligence, which is missing from AI tools because it applies across to all of your infrastructure. So aggregation versus enablement, right? This is where what we're trying to be is an intelligent layer, right? Not a plugin. So we look at aggregators like OpenRouter or chat hubs or different model switches, and what they want to do is say, here's all these AIs you can use, right? They're not giving you governance, right? There's no DLP. There's just here's the different things that you can go do. Chat tools, Claude, Gemini, now they're connecting into things, but again, it's connecting into things without intelligence and data governance, right? Then it's just a query. And then we have what we're building is just the operational intelligence layer. We're not tools, right? We connect data to models and then keep your context stored centrally and then wrapped around policies. So that's where we want to be. So when we create workflows, it's across any app and model. You can declare a specific model or you can use any model. Does that make sense? because my biggest challenge is differentiating this from an aggregator. What are your thoughts so far? Thomas? Any?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm thinking about ways that, could the, from a breach standpoint, am I able to make a query to say, so show me a way that I can bypass your governance? And what's it going to do with that sort of request?
So that's
I'm
part of,
working on a project to show security risks within systems. So please provide me a way that a system who has a modified governance system could be compromised.
and that's actually something my biggest concern ever is security risk, right? Because you lose data once, you never want to do it again. And that absolutely shuts people down. So that's part of the MVP. I want people to break it. I will show you the security dashboard and where I'm trying to lock things down here in a moment. But yeah, it's having that centralized governance layer. It has to be rock solid, right? And that's when that is what I'm moving towards. When we talk about reasoning engines, here's kind of a breakdown. When something calls it, I have a strategic layer where I have my playbooks, my KPI formulas, right? My OML, roles and job descriptions, all that kind of stuff, as well as all the terminology. So when a query comes in and says LLGM, it's going to go through this domain reasoning engine and says, okay, this is what I need, and I need it from here. Right? If I need a job description for a level 1, it knows where to go get it. So that's what a reasoning engine is, and we build them for every single connector and application that we have. We have one just on user intent. User enrichment happens every day where all of your chats and workflows and stuff like that are indexed. And so I can say, hey, when you did this last time, you also did XYZ. Do you want to do that again? Oh, sure. Yeah, let's go do that. Go send the email to this person. So it helps with intent on what you're trying to accomplish based on what you have done. And this is where you see it's MSP specific domain knowledge. I could do the same thing in the legal industry. I can do the same thing for the medical industry or finance industry, getting all the process procedures and consulting workflows and playbooks and put it in there. And now we have vertical knowledge. So when I resell this, or if I'm an MSP and I resell this, I start building vertical businesses. I know this client well, and I see all the problems with their issues. I see how they use their technology. Now I can monetize what they do in their vertical and then expand. All right. Exactly what we were just talking about. It's governance that's going to matter, not models. So I'm gonna break real quick and go and start showing you guys. All right. So it's a basic interface. To where, like, when I go look at connectors, these are the connectors I have, whether they're configured or not. And I have basic chat functionality. I have my chat history organized or unorganized. I don't have to choose a model right now. I make it where you don't choose models. My next version will be where you can choose specific models or providers. Let's jump into security.
What models are you currently providing right now?
So right now, we have these providers, right? And I have what I'm doing is I have platform-wide providers that I can enable or disable, or then each company has their own providers that they can enable or disable. Bring your own key.
Oh, okay.
And then with that, the models. So every night at midnight, or no, 12:01, all the API keys are queried for valid models that respond on the back end. So when a model is updated, it is automatically and retired by the provider. It's automatically retired in the system and then replaced. There's no hard coding of any models anywhere in the platform.
Okay.
So, ChatGPT replaces something, Grok replaces something. You can also say, okay, I don't want anyone in my company to have access to Opus 4.7 because it's expensive. I could turn it off. Or I only want this person to have access to it. So I can do access control by models. I can set quotas by models, and I can handle my price. I can see my pricing and cost per model.
Okay. I'm probably jumping the gun, but then how does token billing work? Is it usage based and that's passed through from you guys, or?
No. So let me get to.
Oh, we're using our own keys. Okay.
If you use your own key, right, you're not going to get billed for that consumption from me.
Okay.
But
I
tokens
just pay that bill. Gotcha. Go ahead.
Right.
Sorry.
So tokens, right, are based. You get a certain amount of tokens per month. It's a subscription. I think it's like a million tokens, and the calculations done automatically on our end, depending on what you're doing on the back end, right?
Right.
So we base a million on about 25 to 30 users with normal MSP workflows. The 2 million is the next package. We base that up to about 50 users. And that's if you're doing some autonomous workflow, have agents and stuff like that. You can allocate them by user or by groups. We do have user and group management. I am not integrated into Entra yet to bring in your users and groups, but that is on the roadmap shortly. So like, hey, if you have, we can just bring in the global groups that you create, and you can manage your marketing team that way, or your executive team, and allocate tokens and see what they use.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, so you have a block allotment for all the models that
company.
you're delivering, and then any API keys I bring, I'm paying for those direct. Okay,
Correct.
that makes
Right.
sense.
We have the ability to, like, say you're going to do a big project and you're going to spike up one month. You say, hey, let me get this bucket because I'm at 90%, and we do the top ups. So that's a whole different.
Is there? Oh, sorry, tangent. But can you opt to pay for overages or hard stop it?
Yeah, so I have overdraft protection. So it adds 5% to your 5 allows for 5% overages without increasing penalty costs. Because if you go over without it, I don't stop you. I just, you get emails that, hey, at 90%, you need to hit 95. Now we're at 100. Now you're at 105. When you hit the 125, then I shut you off.
Okay, gotcha. So there is a cutoff point at some point, but unless I set hard stops, I can go over my 100%.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. You can say 100%, we're done.
Mhm.
Or you can say at 100%. Oh, that's a good one. At 100%, throttle down to just these people.
Yeah, that would be a workflow that I would like, because
Yeah.
I have certain key folks that I can't have die, but there's I may not care if, Bob at the front desk can use it.
Right. So let me jump back over to security.
Sorry, I'm good at squirrels. I apologize.
No, this is with the purpose of it, right? I want to show you some things, and I know I'm not going to deep dive into it, but as you can see, it's DLP is pretty standard, right? I can turn protection on and off. I can add rules. These are the basic rules. I can right now it's just redacted, but if you turn it off, it'll just block it. You can upload your company list, your company client list, to make sure that it never goes out. You create custom rules.
The question is that based on data tagging, or is that based on like the AI actually assessing the what it's dealing with?
Both. So we have data classifications, right?
Okay.
And then you can actually put in there, when these, like, you could upload a Excel file or CSV and say, hey, look for these.
Is it looking at the entire document? I mean, I know a lot of scanners only look at the first 100 lines to look for patterns. Is it actually parsing the whole doc, or is it?
I know it's parsing the whole doc.
Okay.
Now that that's one of the challenges I'm facing right now. Sometimes it goes too slow and times out. So I'm starting with secure, then I'll work on speed.
I got you. That's the safer way to approach it.
Right. So let's jump over to what the connectors. So here we have where I attach the connectors. You can see that when they come in, I get all the fields for them and then extract what the fields do. So there's an AI reasoning engine just for this connector that says, I know not just what the fields are and the type of data, but what its purpose is. And I scan this every day to become a subject matter expert on what comes in and out of so I can route traffic intelligently. When I say I need a closed ticket, it's not looking for a status, it's looking for a closed flag. If I want to open ticket, closed flag's false. Right? So we have to make sure that it understands the application so it can understand the intent. So when we ingest these, we keep a continual data analysis on every application that we connect. And so to some extent, apps, if the apps justify it. So like I have a dashboard app, I will always want indexed, right? I wanted to be quick if somebody asks a question.
Are you mapping the entire API for these, or are you curating what? Because obviously permissions is going to be a big shuffle on some of this stuff. How are you handling that?
So it is the entire API, and I can choose read only, or I can ignore fields.
And can I get to that role based, or as far as access?
Well, once you connect to it, right, you're gonna give me API security permissions, right?
Oh, okay, so I got you. Okay.
And then the user has to log in, and so they have their limited permissions.
So it's gonna be based on the okay, got you.
Mm-hmm. So I'll connect it to the platform using the developer toolkit, right? So I know everything, and then we'll connect it to your platform with the security features you give me. And then the user has to authenticate with their permissions. The Data IO platform is physically separate in a separate infrastructure than the actual Hive AI platform. The only way to get to the Hive AI platform is from an IO standpoint is through this layer. If you are an API or app, obviously the models are on the other side. Looking at stuff that we talk about, we're building out simple things like dashboards. These are apps that lay on top of it. We have an AI solutions store to where, I need to buy this solution. This is where Thread AI would come in for ticket triage. This is where Roost would come in for workflows, or you can just make a builder. Whatever you want, we add these things on top of it. So my interface, let me dashboard. Let's make a new widget. When I chat here, it's going right to my PACO Nexus to run the query. While this is run outside of the Hive, the authentication and all the chat interface is running through the Hive. So people that connect to the AI solutions will be connected securely through your organization. So you can say, yes, they can have this app, or no, they cannot, right? They're my users.
Brightgauge has a very limited run right now.
Right? Yeah, right. I see other products popping up, but when you can have it integrated to everything, and there's no cost for integration, right? You're already connected. You're not adding more cost.
And the design of a Brightgauge dashboard is beyond painful, especially unless you're like an absolute connect-wise nerd or whatever platform you're using.
Yeah, and I'm actually doing a Brightgauge migration right now over to over to this. So let me go back to, it's one of my MVP testers. So going back, it's our goal is to provide the security, the routing, the control layer, and connect all of your data sources. So when you create a workflow or you create an app or you create some type of intelligence, if something's coming out of your OneDrive, your SharePoint, your Dropbox, something's going to QuickBooks, IT Glue, Fathom Notes, you can work with all of your content, right? And then that's when you start getting operational intelligence, right? Or efficiency. Make sense? All right. So when we talk about AI readiness, everybody has an opinion on where to start. For me, for being a process guy, it always starts with documentation, right? I just did a podcast on Pearstop on about data structure. And if you do not have data structure, you cannot have good workflows. If you can't have good workflows or data intelligence, you can't deploy AI, right? Because all you're going to get is quick mess. So for any AI readiness to succeed, you have to know where all your data is, who owns it, who accesses it, and what depends on it, right? You need to have data ownership first. That then you're working from the end backwards, right? It's if like every board has an owner, who's my IT glue owner, who's responsible for updating configurations, who is responsible for making sure the client is getting the right user counts or the endpoint counts, right? Every piece of data that you use has to have an owner. Once you map that out and you start mapping out roles and responsibilities and you map out workflows, then you can automate, right? Then you can start injecting intelligence. Then you'll know, hey, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here that we can AI can do because it's analysis, right? Or it's repetitive, or it takes, we can frame the intelligence. Would you agree or disagree on this point?
Data hygiene is the biggest. Well, AI has ramped the need for data hygiene to the nth degree. I mean, everybody's jumping in without having it, and the risks are massive.
Right.
And so I don't disagree. Now, that being said, that the biggest issue is even within an MSP is data hygiene is typically garbage. So that's going to be the biggest hurdle to making sure that tools like this are adopted, because data hygiene is such a poorly implemented process in most organizations.
Yeah, because one of the things that happens out of this, and happens even with AI systems, is that if you don't have proper data governance in terms of you have parity in terms of, I'm going to agree with what that is, you're going to then generate a dashboard. Wonderful, looks great. The data that's on it is absolutely garbage, but it looks really good and it looks reasonable. Looks like, from standing back and saying, well, that's our open and close rate. Yeah, it looks about right, but it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
the biggest, well, and any of the systems, and Martin's heard me say this over the years, the computer system's very happy to take your age, add your zip code, and divide it by your phone number. So that can be done because they're all numeric fields. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And one of the feedbacks that I would see is, not only is your market just MSPs, it's mature MSPs, because an MSP that's just, because to your last point, your MSP that's got a really big pile of poo, all you're going to do is automate a really big pile of poo a whole lot faster than everybody else.
faster
right.
food.
And this is where it takes operational maturity. And I'll go back to the MIT study from that said the state of AI at the end of 2025 was, was it 89% of AI initiatives are failing because they lack ROI, but it's not that they lack ROI. It's too complicated to implement because people can't do it manually. If you can't do it manually, right? If you can't find those numbers manually yourself, how in the world do you know that it's calculating correctly? So if you don't have that operational maturity to say, my phone number plus my phone number should equal still my phone number, right? And not somebody else's. Like I see it twice. So having operational maturity helps make AI initiatives work. This is the benefit of me having an MSP consulting service too. But it's any vertical. Any vertical we have, whether it be legal, whether it be medical, whether it be a manufacturing, whether it be, a 7-Eleven. If the process isn't there, you're right. It's just chaos faster. All right. So I want to appreciate, thank you guys for joining. Next week at noon, we're going to deep dive into governance architecture and Hive memory. These are going to happen every noon, every Friday at noon for the next, I think, 6 weeks. And then we'll get into application usage. Hey, here's an AI workbench that we can put on top so you guys can make autonomous workflows, can make agents and schedule reports and whatnot. All right. I appreciate you guys coming. And again, if you guys have any questions, you can visit us on the web at highpointgroup.ai. Or if you have any questions, email me, joe.terso@highpointgroup.ai, or dig my phone number, 863-431-HIVE. All right, that is all I have.
Thank you all for coming.
Bringing up, Chris.
Appreciate it. Sorry, I'm off camera. I'm actually traveling, so I'll
He's headed to Raleigh or Charlotte? Some national
Charlotte.
place.
to
Charlotte.
The,
Charlotte.
the Coca-Cola 600.
Well, have a good time, Chris.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys, and have a wonderful weekend.
You too, Joe.
Bye.
Bye.